care for your child can be very expensive, but with Sagicor Life School Companion Health Plan, you've got it covered. The time by Sagicor Life is
7 a.m. and you're invited to listen to the Morning Watch with Dr. Dylan Toussaint.
Hello and welcome to the Morning Watch on Love 101 FM. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. Now, a special welcome to our listeners on love101.org, and if you're overseas and on the move, U.S. listeners can access us at 712-832-8001. And if you're in the UK, 0330-332-6541. Or join us via the Love 101 FM app that can be downloaded from the Google Play Store or the Apple Store. You can also join us on Love 101 FM Facebook and YouTube Live. In the first watch today, crime and church, making the connection. In the second watch, questioning the age of consent. For our social media question, we ask, what are your thoughts on the present age of consent and the proposal that it be changed? Please share your responses on our Love 101 FM Facebook page and YouTube channel, and also on WhatsApp 876-997-3125 using the hashtag The Morning Watch. We'll share your responses later on in the program, but before all of that, here's our quote.
Today's I quote is an Island quote, and it says, "New broom sweep clean, but all broom know them corner." And this explanation, it says, we should strive for a happy blend between the old and the new, combining the freshness of the new with the valuable experience of the old.
Good morning, Jukal.
Good morning, Dr. Toussaint. How are you?
I am doing well. You know, speaking about newness, as the new kid on the block, let me also welcome you to the Love FM family.
Thank you so much.
And in particular, the Morning Watch family.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much.
How has it been so far for you, Jukal, especially getting up so early in the morning to head to the studio?
Wow. That part, getting up early, I'm used to it.
Hey.
But staying awake is the hard part. But it's been going good so far. It's been going good so far.
Don't sleep on us now.
No, man. I'll be awake.
All right. The first watch will be back after this break.
Tired of the high interest rates and the whole heap of loan payments every month? Take a debt consolidation loan from AIM to pay credit card bills and all other high interest rate loans from other institutions. Make one low monthly payment to AIM and take home some extra money in your pocket. That's financial freedom. One loan, one low payment, more money in your pocket. Call AIM today to lower your loan payment. And remember, you won't find a better deal elsewhere. Guaranteed.
From generation to generation, Jamaicans have depended on J&B Bank to make the pride and joy of providing a safe place for their families possible. Now, with no processing fees and no down payment mortgage options, you can open the door to your own sweet home, a legacy to hand to your next generation. Visit jnbank.com to get pre-approved today. J&B Bank will help you find a way.
Boy, I really could have used some data we lost for days this Christmas. Every minute it done. Me feel like me just have finally make the switch.
Make the move and switch to Jamaica's fastest, most reliable network this holiday season. Digicel is giving you a free 28-day Prime Router bundle and 25% discount on 7 and 28 days Prime Router bundles for the next 6 months when you switch. Plus, an entry into the Nuff Pickings promotion where you could win a share of over $16 million in cash and prizes. So no matter with the delay, visit a Digicel store and switch to today. Visit digitaljamaica.com for terms and conditions. Authorized under Section 58.3 of the Betting, Gaming, and Lotteries Act. Promotion valid November 18, 2022 to December 29, 2022.
Auntie Donna.
Hi guys, Auntie Donna here, and I'm here to tell you about Phoenix Vision Center. And as you guys know, Auntie Donna is the brand ambassador for Phoenix Vision. At Phoenix Vision, we have the best eye care service and the best prices on designer frames. We have 3 locations here in Jamaica: Champions Plaza in Falmouth, St. Anne's Bay, and of course, 10th Street in Port Maria. Call us or WhatsApp us at 876-589-8327. See you there. Auntie Donna said that.
Make people proud of you.
They're full of life. You're full of love. They're carefree. You care more. That's why we created Child Protector, a critical illness insurance plan from Sagicor Life. It provides coverage for your child in the event of 15 critical illnesses, hospitalization benefits, life insurance, and investment benefits. So make sure your child can live life to the fullest. Apply for Sagicor Child Protector today.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. Crime and violence have topped and continue to top the list of major concerns of every Jamaican. And the Christian Church, as a purveyor of peace in the earth, has a role to play in keeping our communities safe and free from crime. Well, that's what some people, including some Christians, think. But what's really happening out there with our churches, our communities, and the crime? Is there a connection or disconnect with the level of crime in the communities and the role of the church? Well, to address these questions, we have online SSP Gladys Brown, who is also an attorney at law, and the former Sisoka head, as well as Pastor Christopher Kennedy, pastor of the Joyland and Abrams Mennonite churches, and he's also a guidance counselor at STEPS. Good morning to you both.
Good morning.
Morning.
Hi,
Thanks program.
Yes, thanks for joining us this morning as we discuss these issues. Let me begin with you, SSP Brown. From your vantage point, why is it that Jamaica's crime rate is so high, especially when compared with other countries in the region? SSP Brown.
Good morning to you and your listeners, and thanks for inviting me. My voice is not what it ought to be. There's a book going around, and I seem to have caught it from my grandchildren. And my rank is actually Superintendent of Police. Not SSP.
All right, Superintendent of Police.
Thank you.
We apologize for the error.
God, well, I may not necessarily be able to answer the question as to what has caused our crime rate to be so high, but I can point to some of the contributing factors, such as our young people who are being recruited from high school into gangs and gangs activities. And that is where we as a JCF have seen an increase. And especially during the pandemic, we find that many of the young persons who were home, as somebody would say, they never find hands for work for either hands. And they would have gotten involved into gangs. We have seen where this is very prevalent, and it is our job now where we have decided to see if we can curtail that kind of encounter and activity by tapping into the young people from early. We have revamped our youth clubs, and we are using this now to get to the young people before the gang members get to them. We find that as early as even 10, 9, and 10, 11, 12, the gang members are are recruiting the young people. And so we have started to even go on drive into the high schools to get them as police officers. And we have revamped the youth club, as I have said. We have also utilized the old cadet corps to get the young people from an early age, especially those who are not doing well in the formal school setting, because they find that many are not able to cope because of the number of children in a classroom. They are left behind. But when we take them out of the formal school system and put them in the cadet corps, as we have at the National Police College of Jamaica going right now, they are able to function better, those who we have. And so we have decided to now use see how best we can use the church as a collaboration then, or to form a collaboration with the church to get young people involved before the gang members get them. How do we do that? Because we know that most churches are filled with women, and most of the homes are filled with women. We don't have a lot of men around. Some are involved in criminal activities, some are not here, some are dead, some are abroad. But we know that women are in the churches, and if we can tap into the mothers, the sisters, the daughters, we should be able to get to some of these young people before we get the gangs get there.
Great. Pastor Kennedy, as a leader within the church, what are your concerns in regards to the crime rate in Jamaica?
Well, this is an issue that, as someone who addresses students, I contend with all the time. The statistics show that worldwide we are way up there per capita. It's just recently I realized that there were times when in the past, maybe the past 10 years, that we were top, even in compared to countries that are having civil war and so on.
Yes.
So that's really, really something to be concerned about. But I don't get the feeling so often that it is being treated like that. You don't hear much about it, I think it's a crisis, and this is something we should hear people talking about in the streets. There's just this disconnect where people don't seem to be averse with the desperate condition that we're in, and maybe that's a part of the problem.
Yes. And in terms of the church, Pastor, what has the church been doing? What will the church continue to do? What does the church need to do?
Yes, I'm looking right now at 1 Timothy chapter 2, and we know the argument about the family. All right, we know that there's a problem there, and the Bible emphasizes family greatly, the importance of family. I would like to say that we're not just talking about family generally, but I'd like to talk about the relationship between two people, a man and a woman. And I think when men do not step up to the plate and treat women well, I think God has designed men to be courteous to women, to be loving, to be forgiving, to be romantic, to treat women with a certain level of dignity. I think Paul said that you treat them as the weaker vessel, but when you look at the Greek verb there, it's a precious, precious part, where that people use, that is easy to break and very valuable. I protest a lot about that, the way that women are treated. I see it on the roads. I hear it in the taxis. I see it in the buses. Something is wrong with the way that we treat our women as men. And there are many, many things I can talk about. I mean, leadership and praying for leaders. If you look at 1 Timothy chapter 2, and then the respect for leaders, the way we talk about our prime minister, the way we talk about our politicians. Yes, of course, politicians all over the world have problems. But if we look at how the Bible treats people, treats leaders, treats women.
Tell you what, Pastor Kent, and I realize you're on a roll. We are up on a break. Hold those thoughts. We'll be right back.
Get
Better coverage for yourself and your family as low as $800 a month. The time by JN Life Vest from JN Life Insurance is
7:15 and a
Counting
half.
down the days to that magical time of year. And at Active Home Center, we have so many gifts to share. Let's get together for the holidays and make every room and floor feel the magic this Christmas from the treasures we have in store. Tiles, kitchen and appliances, windows and doors, bathrooms, furniture, lighting, and so much more. Visit our showrooms in Kingston and Montego Bay or online at activehomecenter.com. Active Home Center, more savings, more choices.
We're gonna spread the Christmas cheese.
The Christmas holiday is a wonderful season.
We're gonna spread the Christmas cheese.
The Christmas holiday is a wonderful season, and Sagicor Bank has the key to even more happiness with an incredible mortgage offer that will make you sing.
Christmas is a time for celebration.
This Christmas, experience the joy of a mortgage that gives you a competitive interest rate, special rate on home insurance, and up to $2 million line of credit. Get your key to a wonderful Christmas with a mortgage from Sagicor Bank. Conditions apply.
Let's give ourselves the best gift yet. Great mobile and internet. Value the whole year long. Gotta know the best to get. Flow has savings just for you. If great Christmas gifts, it's true. Samsung tablet for my boo. Our moments together with Flow Yard and Road, it's better. This Christmas, Flow gives the best to you.
With Yard and Road, get a Samsung tablet or a phone for just $999 plus GCT.
Flow gives the best to you.
Conditions apply.
International gospel music ministers Chandler Moore and Naomi Rain from Maverick City take the stage live at the National Stadium alongside Kevin Downswell, Arlene Davis, Rhoda Isabella, and Rondell Positive as Kingdom Culture presents the Well Encounter, the ultimate worship experience. National Stadium, Saturday, December 10. Early bird tickets at spuropen.com/TWE22. Follow on Instagram, the Well Encounter Experience. Sponsored by Purity, Sagicor, Love 101 FM, Grace, Pepsi.
And in this, the first watch, we're discussing the whole matter of crime and the church making the connection. And in so doing, we have online Pastor Christopher Kennedy, pastor of the Joyland and Abrams Mennonite churches. And we also have Superintendent Gladys Brown, who is also an attorney at law. Before the break, Pastor, you were telling us about how the church has been involved in taming, destroying, killing the crime monster. Please continue, sir.
Yes, so I talked about, the home and the family. I think I would repeat that family is central to the health of any society, and it's really based on two persons, a male and a female. And you'll find it interesting that in my guidance counseling classes, I just ask boys to do things like select a girl from the class, and I give them words to say to her, maybe out of a song, girl, you are to me all that a woman should be, and I dedicate my love to you. And that thing, it is amazing. I would like you to come and see what happens when that takes place. This is a fake, right? And if you see the effect it has on both the boy who does it and the girl, we have historical reasons because our nation was founded in violence and slavery, right? It's unfortunate that people, when you see the word slavery, it's too general, and people say the Bible, talk about Bible and slavery when there's no kidnapping in that. That's more like indentured labor, But a society founded on that level of violence and cruelty, has to find a way to trap it and break it. I think the family is that area where it can be done, but we have fallen down there because they violated the families too. That they took them and scattered them because they. When they're together, they're strong, and it's a threat to the landowners and so on. Those are some of the reasons I think our society. But praying for leaders, as I said, Dylan, praying for leaders, respecting leaders. I've worked with people where I am far more trained, I'm far more capable. I know a lot more about the job than they do. I know how to treat the staff better, but I submit myself and I respect my leaders, and I've seen that transform the leader. You know, we need to respect the parliament. Yes, politicians are bad everywhere, but respect leaders. I've said this to my students, I've never been rude to a police officer in my entire life, and I'm 60 years old.
Yeah.
People need to be respectful. Members of society.
Yeah. Superintendent Brown, the assistance needed from the church, do you feel that has been there? What can the church do? What should the church be doing more to assist in terms of this crime and violence concern?
Yes, I believe the church can assist, but it would have to be in small groups. And where as I said before, the mothers and the grandmothers and the aunts and the female relatives are brought in. Because the truth of the matter is that most homes consist of females. The men are not there for whatever reason. And once we tap into them to say, listen, you may know someone who has a young man who is not going along the right path. Someone who seems like he's going to be joining a gang. You know of some encounter that he might have with a gang, and tap into that early, because the truth of the matter, we all know someone who has a young man who is going off the right path, and these are children who, if you don't catch them from 11, 12, or even earlier, you won't be able to touch them later, because the gangs are getting to them from their even primary schools. We all know that we have these recalcitrant young men in schools. We see videos of them. Yes, some of them throwing stones from early. We saw one the other day, and you might say, oh, but that's a 6-year-old, that's a 7-year-old. But that's where the whole violence starts, the anger management problem.
Well, Superintendent,
the church
what do you say to those who say
anymore?
What do you say, Superintendent, to those who are saying that, it's a matter of fear, that the fear factor is there, and that is why even among church groups and Christians, to go on to the police and to report, they might be having their lives threatened as a result.
It's not even a matter of going to the police, sir. What we're talking about is structured meetings where you have the police come to your parent-teacher meetings, yes? Even in schools, you have them coming into the church inviting the police. We have the police who are in the schools, yes? SOS persons. They are in the schools to ensure that you don't have violence and smart behavior and all of that. Those are the same police personnel who can be utilized to bring some semblance of order. Meetings with them in the church. The church needs to invite the community safety and security branch police personnel into the churches so we can reason with the parents and outline some of the plans we have. The youth club, the cadet corps. How can you get your child involved in the cadet corps? You want to fire a gun? We have it in the JCF. You want to fire a gun?
Fire a gun in the JCF.
Army. We fire gun. You want to, if that is what you dream of, you like firing gun, do it in a formal setting and a legal way. You want to go to the army where you fire gun till you're weak. But it is in the formal setting. And I have a grandson. And he said, Grandma, I said, what you want to be when you grow up? I want to be a soldier. I want to be a soldier like my father. I said, why? Because I like to fire a gun. And that is something that I have hit in my head. I put it in my head, and I'm going to make sure I get him before the government gets him. Because you have to listen to your children. Watch and see the hand gestures, what they like. I have them going to Sunday school, but by the time they reach 12, they are no longer interested in the church setting. And so you have to find a way now to keep them focused. And how do you do that? You get male mentors in the police force for them.
Pastor Kennedy, still with us?
Still with us.
Yeah, there are those who argue, though, that Jamaica is called a Christian country. And there are more churches per square mile, let's say, than anywhere else in the world. How is it that Jamaica reached this point with so many churches and Christians?
I know Dr. Clinton Chisholm usually says, well, there's a lot of medication and doctors, but you still have people who are sick. Sometimes they refuse to take the medication. You know.
Yeah, but why so many sick people in Jamaica refuse to take the medication more than other countries in the region?
Yes, like you know. Everybody has it.
Hey.
Somebody saying something?
Yeah, no, go ahead, Pastor.
Yes, well, as I said, it's multifaceted, right? Many things. I think our proximity to the U.S. and their behavior, where guns are controlled, has something to do with it. We're one of the biggest, maybe the biggest English-speaking Caribbean country. True, maybe if the smaller islands were our size, they would have been having the same problems, perhaps. You know, but I think one of the things, and Brenton just hinted at it, we have to treat our boys the right way. The fact that a child wants to fire a gun doesn't mean a child is evil enough, because he might want to fire it at a target. He might not want to fire it at. And when we see what is happening, say, for example, in the U.S., being overrun by this leftist ideology that certain things traditional are bad and so on, we have to learn to treat our boys well. And I think in our homes, our women, abuse of our boys a lot. That's unfortunate. I don't like saying anything negative about women, but I think the abuse that boys go through, this perpetuates violence. And we have to stop that. In the home, there are ways if we challenge ourselves to grow children without violence. And if we don't do that at the early point, learn to let children, especially our boys, feel accepted, that they're boys and they're maleness and so on. Not see them as being troublemakers. That's what people telling children, 2-year-old children, troublemakers and beating children. Listen, there are a lot of things that people just don't want to pay attention to. And that's true. The church has to re-emphasize certain things. For example, when you talk about things like spoil the child, spare the run and spoil the child, that has to be properly interpreted. That does not necessarily mean, when we look at a Jewish culture or in some certain ancient cultures, it does not necessarily mean that you're going to beat the child with a board, a rod. You understand? I'm talking about discipline and so on. So the church has not capitalized on good interpretation, good hermeneutics, and focus well on the social message. And maybe, Mr. Toussaint, because we came up in a situation where we did not get the entire Bible. In the first world, we got the Old Testament, and yes, and then gradually we got the New Testament. And so we suffer from that as a result, lack of biblical understanding and training. We need our pastors to be well trained and to teach the Word of God very well. And I think we are slow in doing that. The Bible is not going to influence us much if we don't understand it. I have a young man, and no time is running out, and he's in my church, and he reads. I got him to start reading the Bible. He's now a Christian for 3 years, and he has read it almost 4 times. I don't have the problems that I used to have with that young man, with other young men, because he interacts with the Word, the Bible, and he understands it. The church understands the Bible very well. I think they make a huge difference, and maybe that's one of the problems.
Let me give Superintendent Brown the final word. Superintendent, there are those who, believe that the crime situation in Jamaica is totally out of control. And they wonder if the JCF has any clue in terms of really belling the cat. JCF's mission is to serve, protect, and reassure. How can you reassure us, Superintendent Brown?
It is no comfort, albeit I'm going to say that crime is up everywhere. In the United States, they are crying out also and asking the same question. All over the world, crime is up. But for a small nation of our size, it is fearful. I hear people saying that they are not coming back here because they're afraid. And it is easy to feel afraid when you're far away and hearing about the crime here. We who live here may not necessarily see it in our area. But the truth of the matter is that the police are working. But we alone can't do it. We have, we need the help of the communities, the persons who know about these young guys who are doing it. The majority of our young members are males. The majority
15 seconds, Superintendent. 15 seconds. Yes.
Our violence producers are males. Yes? And when we hold some of them, the women who come out to block the road, the women who come out to demonstrate.
Can you imagine?
Yes. As opposed to say, try to even stem the child from the realize. And the Bible says, don't fear the others for the child.
Well,
and so we are again saying, why don't we tap into the parents? Get these women together as a church. We have them in the churches.
We have to leave it there. We have to leave it there, Superintendent. Thank you so very much. And Pastor Kennedy, thanks for joining us this morning. We continue to do everything we can to really, really make Jamaica a better place to live. God bless you both.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Great. The Morning Watch will return in just a moment.
Thank you.
Talk to Jane Bank today to find out about achieving your own sweet home in 30 days. The time by Jane Bank Mortgage is
7:31, and you're listening to Love 101, the family station.
Suzuki, I give you something nice for the Christmas. Something nice for the Christmas. Suzuki, I give you something nice for the Christmas. Celebrate the festive season with a brand new Suzuki XL7 or Vitara and enjoy the gift of huge savings. Get 5 years warranty, $400,000 cash back, 2 years free servicing, 1 year Amber Tracker, and free tinting with every purchase. So from now until December 31, forget about Santa and come get yourself something nice for the Christmas from Suzuki. Only at Stewart's Automotive Group, South Camp Road, Kingston, and Iron Shore Bay. Conditions apply.
Building your future, helping you everything that you do. We're in your corner, supporting you. I'm gonna keep my goals on track, keep moving up, don't turn it back. I got Sagicor Bank, Sagicor in my corner. Nothing's gonna stand up in my way. I'm moving to a brighter day with Sagicor Bank in my corner.
Hey, my peeps, get this on the regular. Your HIV status if you consider. At least if you test once a year. Just 15 minutes and your status clear. Cause it might not show up on your timeline and you learn too late, so you're out of time. A progressive future, mandatory. Really long life, our story. You hear?
Remember, update your status in a real life. Go HIV test today.
Just 15 minutes and your status clear. Really long life, our story. Real long life for youth, coming from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
You work hard to make Jamaica a first-class destination. Isn't it time you receive the 5-star benefit? Retire smarter with the Tourism Workers Pension Scheme, a portable plan that also provides your family with financial security in case of your untimely death. It's easy, affordable, and accessible online. Retire and relax with the Tourism Workers Pension Scheme. Visit twps.myguardiangroup.com or call 876-927-4105. Guardian Life. Live secure. Live easy.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. Let's now look at the newspapers to see what Jamaicans and others are saying and doing in the Gleaner. Age of consent, 16 or 18. When we're looking at that in the second watch, actually. Also in the Gleaner, him should have get more sentence. Relatives of Kamal Hall disappointed with killers, 4-year prison term. In the Observer, Brazil crushed South Korea to reach World Cup quarterfinals. And also in the Observer, former Petrojam GM's orders made administration assistant uncomfortable. In the Loop Caribbean News, Riverside Angels repping Guyana at Qatar World Cup. Then Guyana's indigenous culture is on show at the World Cup currently taking place in Qatar. And then we see finally in Loop Caribbean, Dominica election 2022, Dominicans voting for new government. Those are some of the major stories in our newspapers. Coming up next, we'll read some of the feedback from our social media question. What are your thoughts on the present age of consent and the proposal that it be changed? We're asking you to leave a comment on our Facebook page and YouTube channel, Love 101 FM Jamaica, or WhatsApp 876-997-3125. We'll be right back.
Inspirational stories and island-flavored music will come your way this Testimony Tuesday inside Alive, 1 to 5, December 6th. Stick around for progress at 2 o'clock as we ring in the prayer bells of heaven. 2:15 inside the evidence, we'll bring you another powerhouse testimony boasting about the power of God. Then at 3 p.m., we go behind the pulpit for part 3 with recording gospel artist and pastor with a very powerful story, Bishop Stephen Shalom Harper of the International Faith in Action Ministry. All this and more will come your way inside Alive, 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. December 6th with yours truly, Sarah and the Chirpy One on the Family Station, Love 101.
We've heard about all kinds of wars happening all around the world, from technology, trade, family, religion, land, you name it. But then there is spiritual warfare. What is that? And how do we know when we're experiencing this type of war? Tuesday, December 6th on The Rock, join host Bishop Hero Steve Blair and guests Apostle O'Neill Richards and Reverend Prophet Mark Stewart as they discuss the topic Spiritual Warfare. That's The Rock, Tuesday, December 6th at 10 a.m. here on the Family Station, Love 101.
Okay, we are on the campus heights. Schoolers, as we all continue to present our favorite country in the World Cup, this week inside Campus Connection, December 6th, in light of the football festivities, we're going to take a look at football programs, a savior to the inner city youth. We'll be joined by football head coach at the Tivoli Gardens High School, Christopher Nicholas, and assistant coach and head coach of the Tivoli Gardens Football Club, Giovanni Codlin. We're going to talk all things football programs, its impact on the inner city and the young men. Also, you might want to stick around to hear of how you can become a doping control officer or chaperone with the Jamaica Anti-Doping Commission. Campus Connection happens every Tuesday at 5:30 p.m. with yours truly, Jonathan Fletcher and Anesta Samuels, right here on Love 101, the family station.
It's the most wonderful time of the year. Oh, yes, it is. And we got a wish list to share with you. So while you're listening, this is what I want you to do. Grab a paper and a pen because it's time for Chock Full of Love 2022. And we are taking the love to our beneficiary at the Surgeon Golding Rehabilitation Center. We are requesting toiletries, adult diapers, Crocs adult slippers, tablets, cotton white sheets, blood pressure portable digital machine, office chairs, educational toys, and other items. To donate or to hear the other items on the wish list, call or WhatsApp the producer between the hours of 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. at 876-568-4744. After you've pledged your donation and received your confirmation, please drop it off at Broadcast House, 81 Hagley Park Road by Wednesday, December 14, so that we can package those gifts for the patients at the center. Love 101 needs your help, and so does Surgeon Golding Rehabilitation Center. It's a chock full of love.
There's an air of Christmas joy.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint, and let's now join Jokal for a look at how our Facebook, YouTube, and WhatsApp friends answered today's question. What are your thoughts on the present age of consent and the proposal that it be changed? Jokal, any feedback?
Yes, definitely, Dr. Toussaint. We have Steph from Portmore saying that she thinks it should remain at 18 because at 16, one can't have an ID, can't vote, and more. They want to keep them in school longer, let them remain with their virginity, and it also says the only thing you can do at 16 is to not have, not have sex. So she definitely wanted to remain at 18. Let me go to Nicole. Nicole is saying that it should be 18 because at 16 students are still in high school, not fully mature mentally. There's another one here that says, let me pull it up. It says here, Diane Walter says, the age of consent should never have been 16 years old in the first place. At 16, you can't work and you are not accepted at university. So those are some of the responses that I have here from our listeners on with the WhatsApp line.
Okay, interesting comments there in regards to our second watch. And so we segue into our second watch. Now, listeners, in a December 3, 2022 newspaper report, Senator Damian Crawford called, and I quote, for the age of consent to be adjusted from 16 to 18 years, end of quote. His voice on the subject is not the first one. It's a suggestion that's been around for years, but to date, for some reason, the age of consent remains at 16. Now that the call has again been made to increase it, will there finally be any real change? Well, to discuss this issue, we have joining us the person himself, Senator Damian Crawford, opposition spokesman on education, and Mr. Michael Diamond, President of Consumers Intervention of Jamaica. Good morning to you both.
Good morning.
Great, good to have you both. Thanks for joining us. Let me begin with you, Senator Crawford. Just give us some, historical background. As far as you are aware, how and why did 16 become the age of consent in Jamaica in the first place? Can you tell us?
Well, to my knowledge, it was originally 14, and it was moved to 16. I think it's 1986. I could be correct. It could be 88 or 84. It was moved to 16. The majority of the conversation around the age of consent have often been about the physical ability to cope with having a child. And I'm moving that conversation to more the social maladies that comes from a child having a child. So it seems that in those days they came to the conclusion that a child was physically able. A lot of the people who you call the left-leaning people are of the opinion that, like even UNICEF, that don't set a too high of an age because it may lead to the criminalization of other teens. So a 19-year-old boy or a 17-year-old boy can now be charged for statutory rape.
Right.
However, there are corrective measures which we recommended, such as a closing age gap. So a closing age gap really means that if a person is 2 to 3 years within the range of the person, then they more go into a teaching situation than a criminalization situation. So a 17 and a 16 would easily be in class, and by extension, that wouldn't be, because the aim of it is to reduce the likelihood of adults taking advantage of children.
Well, I'll come back to that. But Mr. Diamond, as a consumer advocate, with believedly your ears to the ground, what are the views of the average Jamaican in this regard, would you say?
Well, I wouldn't imagine that we have the views of the average Jamaican, but nevertheless, this type of conversation regarding increase in the age of consent, as the minister explained, is nothing new. And, one of the things is that the first thing that comes to mind psychologically for people when you speak about age of consent, it seems more to target the female. So, there's a lot here that we have to unpack, especially when we're going to be speaking about the age of consent, because it has a lot to do with how we operate in our society to begin with. So the idea of raising the age of consent, there are going to be other factors that comes with that. So that is something that we also need to focus on, because it's not a bad idea, but everyone always speaks of the fact that age of consent is for having sex is 16.
having sex can also lead to pregnancy, but yet still you cannot work to support your child. So the idea of it is that it seems as if we have our priorities twisted. So most individuals would agree that you should increase the age to the point of where an individual can make adult decisions and can actually be an employed individual to support their new family. So it is not unreasonable to look at it from that angle, but we also have to look at what are the true objectives that we're hoping to achieve. And if we can achieve those objectives without necessarily tampering with the law as is, then perhaps that would be an easier fix rather than attempting to do this.
All right, so let me just get it clear, Mr. Diamond. Right, you're not giving the views that are out there. You're giving your personal views, right?
Absolutely.
Are you for it? Are you for the proposal or not?
Interestingly enough, I am for the raising of the consent age. I'm not necessarily looking for it to be 18. I would more so be in line with making it 21. And I say that because there are parts of the conversation that are missing here is the fact that age of consent, when we're speaking about consent, these are going to have ramifications legally. So when we look at the fact that an 18-year-old can enter into contractual agreements, but there are stipulations on the contract.
Sorry, I didn't realize. We're up on a time signal. Could you just hold that thought? We'll be right back.
It really tests my patience when I'm trying to do business and have to submit the same personal information over and over again. No, my OneJN passport experience allows me to breeze through when I do business with the Jamaica National Group. I just have to submit my current personal information one time and bam, I'm recognized at any JN company through my OneJN passport experience. Now that is convenience. Go to jngroup.com/OneJN passport today and sign up. JN will help you find a way.
Colgate Triple Action. 3 benefits for a deep clean. As a mother, you always want to give the best to your family and to make them happy. With Colgate Triple Action, you give them 3 reasons to smile. Cavity protection, whiter teeth, and fresh breath. A unique formula with a minty flavor they will love. Colgate Triple Action. Find it at your favorite store.
Join the Association of Christian Communicators as we dive into the well springs on the topic, the role of the church in building safer communities, with panelists, former FBI agent Wilfred Rattigan, Bishop Rowan Edwards, and SSP Gladys Brown, with host Bishop Harris Steve Blim, Sunday, December 11 at 5 p.m. and at 9 p.m. on MTM TV. Well Springs, wisdom from the Word for a better world. Brought to you by Whatever You Drive, MIBinsure.com.
How will you be spending the holidays?
I'm going to spend time with my family in the country.
I'll be spending the holidays abroad.
Me, fun and more fun.
I'll be spending on gifts for everyone. No matter how you plan to spend the holidays, make sure you're spending with your Sagicor Bank credit card. You'll earn rewards for every dollar you spend. Spend the holidays doing what you like with the people you love and the card that rewards you as you spend. Sagicor Bank credit cards. Conditions apply.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint, and in the second watch, we have been discussing the whole matter of the age of consent, and in so doing, we have online Mr. Michael Diamond, President of the Consumers Intervention of Jamaica, and Senator Damian Crawford, Opposition Spokesperson on Education. Mr. Diamond, you're saying that we should move it from 16 to 21, you would prefer than 16 to 18?
Absolutely, because what we would be doing is, the thing is, on a contract law, an individual at 18 can enter into contracts, but on a contract law, that individual also has a defense of pleading what is called infancy. Infancy simply means that that individual has not attained the age of 21. So if we're going to speak of something so serious as far as age of consent, we should match it with 21, which is pretty much the age of maturity for entering into most agreements.
Well, Mr. Diamond, infancy means they have not reached the age of 21?
On the contract law. So what that simply what we'd be doing, we would be making sure that individuals making such decisions, because consent means it has to be an agreement between two individuals. So let it be in line with the fact that 21, age of maturity, you can enter into most agreements at that age. So we shouldn't simply look at stopping at 18. Let's go to 21. In the meantime, let us also educate and socialize our youths and also our society as a whole that the the situation regarding consent where sex is concerned, it's not one off. We're not, as a matter of fact, let's just make it clear. We are not demonizing sex because this is a natural thing for humans. What we are actually doing is wanting individuals to be more responsible and also to protect individuals from sexual exploitation
Right.
of
All right.
minor.
Right there. Senator Crawford, a lot said there. Your response to that?
Based on the context for which the proposal was made, I would disagree with 21. The context for which the proposal was made was in the changes made within our society, or desired within our society, to move the school experience from 5 years to 7 years, the average school experience. So the average graduating age would have once been 17, and now we're moving it to 19. If we look at the statistics, about 35% of our children are currently not in school after ninth grade. And when they ask the girls why, 49% said that it's because they were pregnant. So to that extent, the aim of a age of consent is not directed to the child to inhibit the child's participation, because the child isn't punished for the age of consent breach. The age of consent punishment is directed towards the adult. So therefore, it is to hinder the adult participant and those who seek to take advantage, especially of our children, who are in poverty circumstances. So the argument that children will still participate, or children meaning under the age of consent, and 18 is a normal quote unquote age of adulthood. If the assumption is that the children will still participate, then you would do the in-school sexual education, etc., to target that activity. It is the multiplicity of adults who await a 16-year-old, await a 17-year-old, and then leave them with the negativities of having a child, and the social negative of having a unwanted birth and a inexperienced mother. So because those are the things I'm targeting, I would believe 21 would not be necessary for those targets. But if we're now moving into a moral, social opinion of what is right, then we could always discuss what age is a adequate moral understanding. But what I am targeting wouldn't have been that.
Mr. Diamond had mentioned earlier, Senator, that it seems to be targeting the females more than the males. Your take on that?
No, the opposite. The age of consent would more criminalize the male. There are quite a few teenage men who would have been charged for the breach because they were over 16 and the girl was under 16. But it is indeed more protective of women because the social negatives of sexual participation is mostly attached to the female because of the permanence of having a baby, and also because of our social acceptance of non-participating fathers. So to that extent, it has been mainly a problem that women have faced, and I mean the negatives of it. And it goes to if a person seeks to have sexual association with a young boy. It's just not as normal within our society, nor as frowned upon within our society. In fact, a young boy with an older female might be celebrated within our society. And that is more of a moral decay within the society, more so than a legal parameter. But a 14-year-old boy with an adult woman will still be under the statutory guidelines.
Yeah. Mr. Diamond, well, both of you seem to want it to be increased from 16. How would you respond, Mr. Diamond, to those who say, why not make it stay at 16? What's the big deal? It has been there for years, and a number of countries have it at 16.
Well, they do have a point. They do have a point, and it's a valid opinion. The thing is, as the minister highlight, is that there are social ills associated with that. And if in their view that we can address the social ills without actually seeming to just legislate for the sake of legislating, because that's what it can come down to. That is what most individuals perceiving, that we would be moving it from 16 to 18, but the conditions will still exist. So then what would be the point? And very importantly, when an individual, whether they're underage or not, is convicted of a sexual offense, these individuals now have to join the sexual predator registry, the sex offenders registry. So there are things here that we do not want to create that increases the dilemma for our youths, if in fact we can adjust the situation. For example, if we're dealing with the fact that young girls are dropping out of school because they become pregnant, then we need to address that issue. We need to be able to keep them in school even while they are pregnant, rather than stigmatizing them with, of course, the scarlet letter of having them dress a particular way. Now they're segregated from the formal school system. These are the type of stigmas that actually contributes to the problem, and not simply the age of consent. So we need to look at all the other factors that are creating the social ills that may not necessarily have to do with the age itself. Keeping in mind, in other jurisdictions, the age ranges from 12 to 18, and in some places to 20. So what are they doing? What have been their objectives? What have been the results? What can we learn from that? And how can we fit it in our own space? So the idea that individuals would say, leave it alone, it's not an issue, they do have a point as well. Let us look at what the ills are and how to address that without simply legislating for the sake of legislating.
Yeah, and as you mentioned about addressing the ills, Senator Crawford, what's the process really involved in making this proposal a reality? What are some of the challenges that you foresee?
Well, first of all, I disagree with those that propose.
You sound far away now, Senator Crawford.
I disagree with those that propose that we should leave it as is, because unlike other countries, we don't have the social protection that are, for example, in England and the United States, where child receives adequate welfare. We don't have those protections where the adoption systems are in place and the children's homes are in place. So we don't have those social protections.
So putting it to 18, how would you gain those protections? I mean, what the difference would be?
You don't gain those protections by putting it to 18. You reduce the need for those protections by putting it to 18. If you look at the fact that the child cannot be employed before 18, yet if they have a baby, the baby has certain financial needs, then when you put it to 18, the 18-year-old can more likely afford to take care of her child or his child, as versus previously where the 16-year-old would have been incompetent to earn or incapable to earn on their own and dependent consider the state or their parent. If you look at the fact that most teenage pregnancies are unplanned and in many cases unwanted, then it reduces the need for the state to be able to take that child into a children's home or to have adequate adoption processes. So it doesn't increase those offerings, it reduces the need for those offerings. And because we are in certain financial and social constraints, because as a society we don't really embrace welfare as do Finland and England and those, then it is unlikely that those will be provided to the child.
Yeah.
Now, when you look at the average person who gets into a gang, the average person who gets into criminal activity, single parenthood is a major contributor. And we're also finding that young parenthood is becoming a even higher increase in contributor.
Yeah, well,
we also find that when a child have a child early, the role of the grandparent reduces because the grandparent is not retired.
Tell you what, Senator, we have to retire this conversation, right? Thank you both gentlemen for joining us. Interesting discussion. Let's hope that this time around we'll see some positive change. All right. Have a productive day, gentlemen.
Yeah, very good.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
All right. Thank you, listeners, for being with us. Join us again tomorrow as we continue to set the stage for a discussion of topical and controversial issues. For information or get copies of this program, call our production department at 876-968-9596-7. This has been the Morning Watch. Thanks to our producer, Kathy Gale. and our guests. I'm Dylan Toussaint, giving a shout out to the North Central Zone of the Justices of Peace as I hand you back to Love in the Morning now with Dr. Nadine Blair.